What's up everyone? Welcome back to another Ramen Experiments episode of Nama Japan, and today we're making trash ramen, or to be more precise, we're gonna make a Niban Tori Paitan made basically from leftovers or things that I would have just thrown away if I wasn't planning on making this one. So I've been planning to do this one for a while now, and I'm gonna use as little as possible fresh ingredients for this broth here, and I have some leftover tare, some shio tare, some shoyu tare, so we're gonna experiment how this all works out. So let's take a look at the ingredients first. So if you look at the ingredients, I've basically just collected all kinds of cuttings, trimmings, onion peel, onion kinds of trimmings from negi, from onion, from garlic, some trimmings, stuff that I didn't need. And I also collected some chicken bones. Basically, this was, I don't even remember if this was from chicken soup or whatever. And this here are the leftovers from the chintan that I made some time ago. I'm also gonna use a couple of shrimps here. I'm gonna just dip them in for a little bit until they're boiled, and then I'm gonna throw in the carcasses and the skin back into the soup to see if it gives like a little bit of nice shrimp flavor. I'm also gonna dump in some pork belly as a preparation for some chashu, and I'm gonna probably throw in 2 or 3 of these potatoes here just to give the tori paitan a little bit of creaminess, which it might be lacking if I'm just using those already used chicken bones here. So that's basically all I'm gonna use for this trash tori paitan. Let's see how this all works out. It's the first time I'm doing this, so yeah, let's find out. So the meat is already in, and here we have my vegetable trash. And normally I would say boil the meat first and then maybe in the last hour or so add the vegetables, but today I'm not gonna bother. I'm just gonna throw everything in right now and boil it all together. It should be like, I want it to be like as easy as possible, so I'm not gonna bother today. And the good thing is it also makes it easier a little bit to figure out how much water I need for the whole thing. So we're now going to add some water, but as you can see, this here is a quite massive frozen block, and I think this should disperse quite nicely. So we don't need to fill this up all the way to the top. I think 3/4 should be enough, and then it should fill up everything quite nicely. And if we feel like in the end our soup has been too thin or something like that, then we can always just keep boiling it until we have the desired consistency. And now let's turn on the heat. So I think at the beginning I'm gonna set it up to a little bit higher, just to defrost all the frozen chicken and so on. So it's gonna take a while anyway. And then I'm aiming to boil everything for at least 2 to 3 hours ish. And in the meantime, I'm gonna prepare the maybe the shrimps over here and the potatoes to throw them in as well. So we have prepped the potatoes and the shrimps. So with the shrimps, we're gonna only throw them in for 2 minutes once the soup has started boiling, which currently is not yet the case, because we don't want to overboil them. I still want to use them for something else later. And here we have some potatoes, and we're gonna throw them in a small bag as well, because we actually want to take them out later and strain everything else out, put them back in, and then actually blend them up together with the soup to use them as a kind of starchy thickener, because we might not have enough collagen left over in those bones. And then we have here some peel. I guess we can just throw it in as well. Why not? I don't see why that would become a problem. And then the potatoes, I mean, they can just basically boil away. Doesn't really matter if they get a little bit mushy. We just want to be able to catch them out later. And I think now we're just waiting for the soup to come to a boil, and then we can throw in the shrimps, do our shrimp thing, and then peel the shrimps, and then add the peels and the skins of the shrimp back into the soup and let it boil away for, I don't know how long it takes. So we have a nice boil here right now. So we're gonna throw in these shrimps. We got the timer set here to 2 minutes and 5 seconds because it always takes me a couple of seconds to drop them in. And here we go. Get them nice submerged. All right. And then we're gonna fish them out once the timer is up. So the timer is up, so we're gonna start taking them out and drop them into an ice bath to stop the cooking. And that's it. I think I've also found out why nobody makes ramen with shrimps, because it takes ages to peel those fucking assholes. So what we're gonna do is just drop this one back in, and we'll see how that turns out, if it actually affects the flavor in a positive or negative way. After 3 hours, that's what the whole thing looks like. So in the meantime, I've taken out the chashu and dropped it in the Ziploc bag, threw in some sake mirin, some soy sauce of course, and now we're gonna strain the whole thing from one side to the other. And how we're gonna do this is just basically one spoon after the other. We're gonna also take out the potatoes that we can see over here, and then after we're done, we're gonna blend it all up. So let's start. And that's what the resulting broth looks like. Definitely less thick than I would have liked, but it does look nice enough and kind of like what I expected. A little bit lighter Tori Paitan, and I peeled out the potatoes here, and now I'm gonna throw them back in and blend them up. Now that looks very different from our previous result. Much creamier. Got some nice foam going, but I think that's just from the blending. But yeah, I think that looks like a proper Tori Paitan. I think I'm quite happy with the result. So now time for a taste test. So after all is said and done, I got around 2 liters of soup here. We have 500 milliliters, 500 milliliters. So that's always enough for 2 bowls right here. There's another 500 milliliter. I have 250 and a little bit here. I have a little bit less than 250 here, and all of those were topped up with a little bit more, a little bit extra to account for evaporation. So yeah, I think we're looking at 200 milliliters basically free ramen. I think that's a pretty good yield for all the bones and veggies that we had. And now we're gonna do some taste tests with this one here, and I'm gonna mix it with one of the tares that I still have. So let's see how that works out. And that's it. That's the result of around 3 hours of working with basically 3 ingredients. And as you can see, the egg is not really perfect, but it's just what I did and had today. Very basic, because I really want to try how the broth works together with my shio tare. So let's give this one a try. Let's not wait for too long. And that's it. Here we are. After 3 hours of work, we made our trash Tori Paitan, or let's say leftover Tori Paitan. And actually, I gotta say, that looks pretty good. So let's give this one a try. Oh yeah, That's actually very nice. There's a lot of, I would say, veggie flavor in here. Oh yeah, that is much better than I expected. Oh, very, very good. So here we go, together with some noodles. It's pretty good. It's almost hard to tell that this is a Niban Dashi. That is actually quite surprising. This broth was basically for free, and then getting this kind of flavor basically for free, that's quite amazing. Especially if you consider how expensive ramen can be outside of Japan. Damn, this is basically a steal. It's not only basically, it is a steal. So if you're making especially tori chintan, so clear soups, and you have the bones left over, or even from tonkotsu, even if you make tori paitan, you easily can use them again to make this kind of Niban Dashi. Yeah, and it's just a good idea to keep all your leftovers, your onions, your negi, your leek, all these kind of things, all the cuttings, all the trimmings, the skin, whatever, and just throw it in the freezer. And then you can make these kind of, let's say, leftover ramen. They're also good for all kinds of, let's say, traditional Western style soups and consommes. So don't throw them away, give them a second life, and enjoy Trash Tori Paitan. And that's all for today. I hope you liked my video, and I hope this gives you some inspiration to make your own ramen at home. If you have any questions about how to make this, how to make the tare, because so far I don't think I have any tare recipes, I can guide you towards some sources, and soon you'll be slurping your own ramen at home. Cheers.